So every time I watch war criminal Antony Blinken talk, I think he can't possibly go any lower. But he surprises me every single time. And when he met his Jordanian counterpart, Ayman Safadi, in London this week on Friday, this was no different. This war criminal was back to repeating his well-rehearsed lies on ending Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza and Lebanon. Of course, he lies every time. Every time he talks about the conflict in the Middle East, you know he's lying. He has zero desire, absolutely zero desire to ending the conflict. In fact, I think he relishes, he enjoys the sufferings of Palestinians and people of Lebanon. Because everything that is happening in Gaza, in the occupied West Bank, and in Lebanon is happening with the blessings of this war criminal, Antony Blinken. Because I don't think Joe Biden, in his position, is mentally capable of taking any decision. It's this war criminal who is calling the shot, because his loyalty doesn't lie with the Americans. His loyalty lies with Israel. So this Friday, he launched his usual nonsense once again when he met his Jordanian counterpart in London. Yes, he was meeting his Jordanian counterpart in London, even though he was in Qatar on his so-called trip to the Middle East only a day ago. So this war criminal kept repeating his lies that he was intensely engaged with the authorities in Lebanon to achieve a diplomatic resolution. This was when Israelis have been busy carrying out the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in northern Gaza.
It's a great pleasure to see my colleague and my friend, Prime Minister Safadi. Jordan is an essential partner for the United States in the region on so many issues, and of course, a critical partner in trying to provide the support that Palestinians so desperately need in Gaza. And we're working very closely together on maximizing that support, and Jordan's played a remarkable leadership role in doing that. We've had very good and important conversations this week, including this morning, on ending the war in Gaza and charting a path for what comes next. And those conversations will continue, but I think this is a moment of importance and urgency that we're working to seize. I also had the opportunity to speak to Prime Minister Makati in Lebanon. There too, we have a sense of real urgency in getting to a diplomatic resolution and the full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, such that there can be real security along the border between Israel and Lebanon, and people on both sides of the border can have the confidence to be able to return to their homes. And there as well, we are intensely engaged, and we're working hard to move this forward and get to that diplomatic resolution. So there is a lot going on, but as always, working closely with Jordan is a critical part in achieving the results that we both want to get.
Wish someone could ask this shameless creature who was that individual that he was intensely engaged in diplomatic negotiations in Lebanon. The rogue regime of Israel has been bombing Lebanon by slaughtering close to 3,000 of innocent men, women and children in Lebanon. And we are not even talking about more than 42,000 people that Israeli terrorists have already slaughtered in Gaza. Israelis have also been frequently attacking the United Nations peacekeepers with impunity. And this war criminal, Antony Blinken, and his colleagues in America talk about establishing a society based on rule of law. He is a bunch of terrorists regularly targeting, attacking United Nations peacekeepers with impunity. Imagine if any other country did that. There would have been a third world war by now. And this shameless war criminal has the audacity to say that he is engaged with imaginary entities in achieving a diplomatic resolution. Not that I am a big fan of Jordanian regime either, but it was refreshing to see Safadi speaking the truth for a change, as he sought to embarrass Blinken on his face. At least he spoke bluntly to highlight the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians being carried out in northern Gaza by Israeli terrorists.
We really stand at the brink of regional war now. Uh, the only path to save the region from that is for Israel to stop the aggressions on Gaza, on Lebanon, stop unilateral measures, illegal measures on the West Bank that is also pushing the situation towards the abyss. We want this to end, and we want to be able to get to a place where we can really talk about achieving a just and lasting peace that will guarantee the security of all. But we meet up at a very, very critical moment. As you mentioned, the humanitarian situation is really difficult. We look at northern Gaza now, where we do see ethnic cleansing taking place, and that has got to stop. In Lebanon, I think the Lebanese government is clear now. It wants to implement Resolution 1701, so that should be implemented and save, again, hundreds, thousands of lives that are being killed. And we see the displacement challenge in Lebanon that is going to challenge all of us as well. So ultimately, I think we are at a moment now where nothing justifies the continuation of the wars. The guns have to go silent. Diplomacy has to take precedence, and we've got to save the whole region from the abyss of what's going. As I said, your role is critical, and this is we continue our engagement with a view to making sure that things do not get any worse. But I think of utmost important right now as we speak is to address the situation in northern Gaza, where we see the siege on the Kamal Adwan hospital. Again, nothing justifies that. It's getting worse, unfortunately, every time we meet, not for lack of us trying, but because we do have an Israeli government that is not listening to anybody, and that has got to stop. So I hope today we'll be able to continue our conversations again in the very frank and open manner in which we always talk. The stakes are too high, and it's got to stop.
Safadi's blunt talking appeared to leave Blinken rattled. Just see how he almost lost his voice and struggled to complete a sentence as he tried to answer a question from a reporter on the Israeli aggression in Lebanon.
Minister, Mr. Secretary, do you think that Israel should stop the bombing in Beirut? Would that be a help?
Thank you, Press.
Minister, what do you think?
Thank you, Press.
Could we just get one comment?
Thank you, Press.
The most important thing is to drive toward the diplomatic resolution to get the understandings that are necessary for the full implementation of 1701. And the sooner we're able to do that, the sooner we're able to get a resolution. Meanwhile, we want to make sure, we want to see civilians protected. We want to make sure that the Lebanese armed forces are not caught in the crossfire. And certainly, we want to make sure that in places like Beirut, there is a real effort to make sure that people are not harmed, that civilians are not caught up in this crossfire.
And Minister
Thank you,
Safadi?
Press. Thank you, Press.
And Minister
Very,
Safadi,
very
comment?
clear. The aggression on Lebanon has to stop immediately. Nothing justifies its continuation. Lebanon is ready to implement 1701. That will guarantee the security of all. My short answer is yes, it's got to stop now.
So not a fan of the Jordanian regime, but well done Safadi for highlighting the ongoing ethnic cleansing of Palestinians by Israeli terrorists in the northern Gaza. As I speak, there are reports of Israeli terrorists killing 35 people, all medical professionals, in northern Gaza, which has been under siege by Israeli terrorists for nearly a month, and the world has been silent. That's the kind of unethical, illegal world that we are living in. That there is a rogue regime, there is a rogue settler colony, that is a settler colony of Israel, which is allowed to go and kill people, break every single international law, international humanitarian law with impunity. Forget about facing consequences. The so-called civilized Western countries like the UK, the US, the EU, Canada, Australia, they have been sponsoring that project. I don't know how they sleep at night. How they manage to face their children and look into their eyes. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform on buymecoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that this platform is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.